All right, it's 2 o'clock. Let's get the show on the road. Thank you all for being here. This is Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. We do this every single month. We've actually done it for 6 years. This is our sixth year doing it. So basically, if you're new to it, we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. So if you're first time watching it, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the official stats for South Florida real estate. That's Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. But more important, we're going to talk about the trends and we're going to talk about where's the state of the market, where's it going, and how that could help you do more business. And the best part of this program every single time is the different Miami leaders that come on, and they're the ones with the boots on the ground. They have the knowledge, the expertise, and we have an incredible leader. He's our 2026 Miami Residential President-elect, Ruben Sanchez. How you doing, Ruben?
Good afternoon. I'm well, Chris. Thank you so much for the invite and for having me on today.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited. Okay, so the first question, Ruben, right off the bat is stats. Why, let's say there's a realtor joining us for the first time. Why is it so important? I thought I just have to go sell homes. Why is knowing stats so important and knowing the story of Miami?
I think it's very important. As a broker, it's important for me to be able to pass on the information to my associates so that when they're out and about, they have all the information that they need to be able to transact. But it's not just about the transaction, it's about informing the general public about what we do, how we do it, and depending on where you're at, the type of market and where the market is at. We have different market cycles, for example, the buyer market and the seller market. And it's always important to understand where we're at, especially when we're out and about, working with the customers.
Excellent. Love it. All right. So let's get going
Let's
in
go.
here.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Here's our agenda. So we're going over February 2026 stats, which we are releasing to the media this afternoon. So you guys are getting it at the same time. And we're going to hear from Ruben. And then so here's some more our schedule for the coming year. We're going to do this every single month, and these are the dates. Actually, stats will be coming out a little bit earlier than normal. In past years, we released them around the 22nd. Now it's around the 16th and 17th. So go ahead and register and join us here. We'll be here February 17th with another great leader.
No, well,
And
we
then
already passed February 17th. You're talking about April.
I'm sorry. Yes,
April 17th.
yes, yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
talking
good.
about the next month. Yeah, good catch. Okay, and so another question I always get here is, is this being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. And then another question I have is, can I get this PowerPoint? And by the way, our award-winning design team, we've added some new graphics to this PowerPoint, and it's every time we improve it. And so, yes, you could get this PowerPoint and just type in your email into the chat, and I will type them all up and I will send it to you later this afternoon. So if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, do the same thing. Put your email there. I'll collect them all and I'll send you this PowerPoint that you could use in your marketing. All right, and so I put it in the chat. If there's one website to remember, just remember this one right here, sfmarketintel.com. We try to make it easy. We put all of our videos, all of our infographics, all of our hot market graphics, our branded reports. We have zip code reports, every single zip code in South Florida, every single city. Try to make it easy. It's just this one right here, sfmarketintel.com. So if you could just bookmark that later this afternoon, you're going to have everything updated and fresh with everything that we've been working on the past week. Okay, so Ruben, let's go over some of the quick leading indicators, and let's go through the three counties, and I'll ask you a question on Miami-Dade. But just looking right off the bat, another great month for Miami-Dade real estate, plus 10% year-over-year gains, total home sales, condo sales up 15%. And then we look at Broward County, single-family home sales up, 1 million and up condo sales up in Broward. Let's move over to Palm Beach,
Wow.
plus 9% total home sales in Palm Beach County, plus 11% condo sales in Palm Beach County, February 2026. So yeah, so we get to Miami-Dade. So in the news release that we're putting out to the media today, the headline is 6 straight months of home sale gains from Miami. Condo sales are up double digits. Ruben, I know you work in the luxury and in the ultra luxury sector. But Miami, is getting a lot of headlines on the ultra luxury. But could you talk about, the other ranges that we have? Because, in the news release they're putting out today, condo sales between 400,000 to 500,000 are up 19% year over year. So our demand spans from ultra luxury to more accessible. But could you talk about everything that we have up to offer to buyers?
Absolutely. Well, first, I want to congratulate us because we have beautiful numbers. Everything is in the positive range, and it's important for us as real estate professionals and realtors to be aware of what's going on within our market. Yes, this is year over year, and it's comparison also from month to month, but we're very well poised in the whole entire market, whether it's entry level condos to the ultra luxury $8,000 a square foot, properties that are coming into the market. So I think we're going into summer, and these numbers look absolutely amazing. Now, for what I like to call entry level pricing, which is the three, four, $500,000 entry point, these properties will most likely be condominiums, especially here in South Florida and in Miami, just because we're going vertical and there's not a lot more land to come in so that we can build bigger, single family homes and communities. So I would say, for those of you that don't necessarily work in the ultra luxury market, pay attention to the stats and what's happening, because there's a lot more coming into the market. When I moved here about 20 years ago, 2008, there was a lot of condominiums that were built and not a lot of people were living them. But now these condominiums 20 years later are what's becoming a lot more accessible for those first time home buyers or entry level condo buyers. And we have those all across, from Homestead all the way to Jupiter and Palm Beach. So it's great numbers, and I think that it's very important for us to pay attention to the stats, and especially the condo market also, because even though you may hear that there's issues going around somewhere else in the rest of the country, we're very well poised here in South Florida to continue that growth and to continue that demand, and these numbers look amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're going to get into that, why Miami is different from an LA, a Chicago, the fundamentals that we have. So we're going to get into that a little bit later, but that's awesome. I
Excellent.
love that perspective there. Yes. Okay, so those are the top indicators. So let's talk about mortgage rates. I mean, when you talk about real estate, you got to talk about mortgage rates, and sales are very sensitive to mortgage rates. And so, Ruben, very interesting. If you've been watching this like over the past years, at the start of 2025, rates were at 7, and then it dropped down and actually got under 6% for the first time since 2022. But it was only like a couple of days. And now, because of the war in Iran and inflation, it's on the way up again. But so, we have a lot of realtors on the call. Like when you're speaking with buyers, how do you talk to them about mortgage rates?
Well, so most of the buyers that I work with, they're aware of the mortgage rates and how they're fluctuating, and they do pay attention, but it's not necessarily a deterrent from them to buy. If we look at the mortgage rates historically, I mean, here you're going back 40 years, you can see that we had 8.9 in the 70s and then an outrageous number at 12.7 in the 80s. So again, historically, we are still lower than what we've seen in the past. Of course, it's not the early 2020s when we reached, below 3%, but it's important for us to pay attention to what's going on geopolitically and how that directly affects our not just our industry, but how we do business. So if I'm speaking to a buyer and the buyer's concerned about the mortgage rates, usually what I do is I sit down and I average it out and I let them know more than likely this is what we're going to be falling into once we go under contract or once you're about to close the transaction. So they're aware, but again, people are aware, buyers are aware, and if they're knocking on your door as a real estate professional, then they more than likely already know that they're going to be within the ranges of what we're at right now with the mortgage rates. Also, teaming up obviously with a good lender is great for our practice, because if there's a question that we don't know, again, we're in the real estate acquisition and disposition side, not necessarily the lending side. That lender could be a very good strategic partner for you to be able to get to the finish line with your buyers.
Yeah, that's excellent. I wrote down some great tips there. That teaming up with a lender, that's great, and so that is something to keep your eye on. And then that's why this program's so good, because you have that experience. You're working with the buyer, so that's excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so that's mortgage rates. Okay, so Ruben talked about it just a couple minutes ago. Why Miami's different, why Miami's kind of an outlier from other metros. and we're going to get into them real quick here. Our ultra luxury market, our population, our international migration, the new companies moving here. I should add on here the new billionaire CEOs that are moving here, but let's get into it. First, ultra luxury. Ruben, take a look at this chart here. 2025, 361 10 million and up home sales. So essentially, one 10 million and up home is sold in South Florida every single day. Incredible.
That is incredible. And it seems that it keeps on going up. I mean, we just saw on the news, what was it, like a week or 2 weeks ago, that the Surfside, the Four Seasons Surfside just sold one of their penthouses for I think $8,000 a square foot. We're talking about 44 million right on the water. This is a building that's already built. You know, we're not even speaking or taking into consideration new construction or pre-construction sales, which are also breaking records all throughout South Florida because of the high demand for these ultra luxury real estate that we have here. And what we don't have, we're more than likely going to build it soon. So keep an eye on that, guys, because this is super important. This is a huge shift. And again, it dictates just where we're at with our market. You know, there may be other markets, as I mentioned previously, that may be hearing, some challenges, etc. But not us, not here, especially not in this $10 million in upsells.
Yeah, and I appreciate that segue. You mentioned the new construction. Yeah, there's no new construction, and this is from the SAF MLS, and we don't have new construction. But we were able, Miami Association of Realtors, we do have a new construction global sales report, which we're going to show you a little bit later. But yeah, great job there.
But these are great numbers. I mean, not even 10 years ago were we selling at this rate, 100, 112, 183. Obviously, 2021, but we know what happened. But we're getting back to those numbers, which is super interesting. And again, keeping on that positive, outlook for our market and our industry.
Yeah, and this is why our numbers will continue to go up. This is Ruben. This is we put together. I work with our design team to put together an ad in Florida Realtors magazine every quarter, and so I was thinking of what will be the theme, and the first thing that came with me is power of CEO migration. But Ruben, I wanted to talk to you at the bottom of this, Florida's Gold Coast. Here are two CEOs who live in South Florida. They want to invest $10 million to recruit more CEOs. So, Ruben, like, how hot is Miami real estate when you have two of the richest men um, paying money to bring more CEOs here?
Well, listen, I think it's like anything. They're an amazing ambassador for our market and for our area, and Florida in general. So you have Stephen Ross and Ken Griffin who live here, investing over $10 million of their own money to attract more CEOs and powerful companies to relocate to South Florida. And guess what? People are listening. These companies, they're paying attention. They're seeing this wealth migration just completely relocate from high earning states to our market, and they're going to continue to come. Now, if I were Ken Griffin or Stephen Ross, I would probably do the same. Why? Because we're well positioned as a market to come and invest and to attract talent, to keep talent, and not just locally, internationally. So, you're gonna hear more and more millionaires and billionaires call Miami and South Florida their home, and they're gonna continue to invite their obviously powerful and very wealthy friends to come and join us down here.
Yeah, definitely. And everybody talks about, oh, they're coming here for the taxes, but Miami and Florida, we've always had taxes. So what is it? It's because, we're becoming more of a fintech hub and we have our pro-business government, right? So it's a lot more than just taxes, right?
Correct. It's a lot more than taxes. I mean, yeah, we have no state income tax, which is extremely attractive, especially when you're making millions and millions and you're just paying it out, to different government organizations, and you're not really seeing a return, or you don't have beaches, or you don't have new construction, or you don't have amazing weather, which is all that we have here. Aside from all that, we have elite private schools, which they keep on popping up. Why? Because this wealth migration keeps them coming down to South Florida and demanding that these schools become more elite, right? We also have the FinTech and Innovation Hub, which we're constantly hearing, companies and people being relocated from California, from Washington, Seattle, and even New York. Obviously, everybody knows that we're multilingual and multi-talented. So the talent down here is very well poised to continue this wealth migration growth, especially as these companies keep on relocating here to South Florida. And, the pro-business leadership as a state, I think it's great because we're constantly incentivizing and inviting people to come over and do business here. Everybody wants to be here. We're here. So, of course.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. That's an awesome breakdown. All right. Okay, so here's a little bit more on the Miami billionaire CEOs. You can see, Bezos is here and the PayPal co-founders here. But Ruben, I wanted to ask you about this chart, this graphic on the right. Florida gains a new taxpayer every 2 minutes, and California loses one every single minute. So it's kind of what you were talking about, how, Florida and California have different, I guess, business governments and how they treat businesses, and that's playing a role in us benefiting, right?
Absolutely. I mean, just I think last week or 2 weeks ago, California, or there's some buzz going around that California is implementing or will implement the new millionaire tax, right? So just imagine out of $1 million that you're probably making, a huge portion of it going to the local government for tax purposes. While the $1 million that you can make here in the state of Florida, they're staying here, and they're more importantly, they're staying in your pocket, right? So I know that Mark Zuckerberg is one of the latest ones that came over recently and bought this amazing property that just broke record again in Billionaire Bunker. So we're going to continue, in my opinion, to hear these stories of not just California, but other states. I mean, Texas is one of those states where we're constantly competing with because they don't have state tax as well. But we, as Floridians, especially South Florida, are the best poised, in my opinion, all throughout the state to welcome not just these tech influencers, but business people and even global powerhouses that are relocating to our market. So we'll continue, in my opinion, to hear people, other markets or other states losing taxpayers, and we're getting them down here. And it's cool because we have I don't know how it is that we find this out, but we do know that through driver license changes, that's how we're collecting this data. So if we continue to pay attention to that, we're going to see that this upward trend still continues. Now, that's not even talking about social events, sports, and all the stuff that Miami and South Florida is scheduled to have this year, right? I know the Miami opened up just I think this week, and we have all these amazing other social events that are also attracting these high net worth individuals, and it's great for us because they're gonna come and invest their money here, and we're gonna have better opportunities, not just for us, but for everywhere else that wants to relocate to our market.
Yeah, definitely. Great. And I love your mention of the Florida driver license data exchanges. So we have our chief economist, Gay Crortone, and she gets able to get that data. And so essentially, when you move, for instance, from California to Florida, you have 90 days to change your license plate. And so we go to the Florida State Highway Department, and it's public information, and they're able to give us the stats of who is exchanging their license. So that's how we get it. So it's awesome.
That's a great data to have because I use that and my
Yeah.
agents use that as well, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and so on the left here, you can see the global financial giants with Miami headquarters, not just offices, headquarters. And I want to point out the one Palantir was one of the most recent, a couple of weeks ago. This is a
Yeah.
major AI and data analytics company, defense, involved in the defense. And so amazing that they're moving here. But with this one, Ruben, I want to talk about Miami's location, right? That is one of our factors that really helps Miami, right? Because we are located, especially for Latin America. But yeah, what could you say? How much does that benefit us, our location?
Well, 1,000%, I would say. Most of the places on the map on the right, they can be reached within 3 hours. I mean, not obviously Brazil,
Yeah.
Argentina, or south of Chile, but everything could be reached within 3 hours and even less. I know that Venezuela, there's no flights right now to Venezuela, but I know that flight is like an hour from what I've heard. So, if you are a huge company that has billions of dollars and you're relocating to South Florida, well, guess what's going to happen? Just naturally, you're going to be able to reach these markets that are already connected or intertwined into the fabric of South Florida because they've always been here. So now you have access not just to your current clientele, the domestic market, etc., but you could actually spread out and reach out to Latin America. And guess what? There's a lot of wealth in Latin America, as we're going to notice in the report or in the presentation that we're going to have. When the Latin American governments move left, money and investments come to South Florida. That's just the way things have been going on since the 80s and the 90s. I'm originally from Texas, and I found that out, 20 years ago. And it's very easy for me to detect that. If there's something, they say that if there's something going on in South America, automatically there's foreign investment coming in, and it's cash, by the way. So it's great because the first thing that these markets want to invest is real estate.
Interesting. Wow. And a lot of it is because the governments in Latin America, they're unstable. They're it's not secure, and they want to get the money out, right? And into a
A
place
hundred
that's more
percent.
secure.
Yeah, and also they want to make sure that their investment is safe. Their currency may devalue if they invest in their country, or within other countries within Latin America. But they know that if they come and they bring their money here in the U.S., that pretty much their dollar will go even further. So it's just investing. For example, in pre-construction at the beginning, the investor makes money just by appreciation. But then one of the things that a lot of people don't pay attention to is how much of that currency investment has actually also gained value. So it's like double dipping into their investment. And it's actually a very interesting strategy once you understand it, because you could actually tell your client, listen, yeah, you're going to invest X amount of money here, but you're also, when you convert that, after you sell the asset, etc., and you convert it into your currency, you didn't just make whatever appreciation, you also made a huge surplus from that exchange rate. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but it's
Yeah.
super interesting because it is like double dipping. I have a lot of clients that buy pre-construction at one rate, and then when the property is ready to be delivered, they want to relist it, obviously at a higher price. But they're like, I already made 3 times my money, because once I bring the money back to my country, the currency has devalued so much that it's going to be worth X amount of money. So just another little thing to pay attention
Wow.
to.
Wow, that's super interesting. It's because the US dollar is so much stronger than their currency, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
wow, that's
make they
great.
make a lot of money actually, but it's wise investment, and pre-construction is really where we tend to see them mostly.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Love it. Okay. Okay, so here's another graphic about the same theme about how international Miami is. Number one city in the US for international migration, Miami-Dade and Broward, both in the top five. Incredible. So let me move on to the next one. Here is our top feeder states. You're asking what are the states that are moving here? And our chief economist said, hey, how about I get you what counties are moving here? So no surprise, New York, LA, New
Washington, I
Jersey.
see that. There's a direct flight from Seattle actually to Fort Lauderdale, so I could see how that connection actually can be happening as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
It's the flight that takes you to Alaska, but it stops in
Oh,
in Seattle.
oh, okay. That's great. Okay, so let's get into Miami Global Trivia. Every year we put out a international global report, um, and so we put it in January. So let's test everybody here on the chat. Some questions. What is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Number two is how many countries purchased Miami new construction? This is what Ruben was talking about. We have this global report, but we also have a new construction report, which I'm going to put it in the chat, the link. But and the third question is what percentage of global real estate sales are in South Florida? So if you could write that in the chat, especially number one, I want to see if who could get number one correct. What is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Okay, so let's get into some of these stats. These are new stats that we're releasing to the media as we speak, and you guys are getting a first. Median sale price. Here's a look at median sale price in February 2026. They are up for single families, condos down. And here's a look at Broward, and we have Palm Beach as well. But
Those are
Ruben,
amazing
when you look at
numbers, man. I mean, everything is over
yeah,
$500,000. And it keeps on moving and trending upward, which is great. Condos, I can see why, we would have gone down. There's a lot more inventory coming into the market. We're also competing, resales are competing with new construction that's being delivered. So we might see a little bit of a variance there in the coming months and probably in the next 2 to 3 years, just because there's a lot of stuff that's getting delivered. But single family homes, I mean, those prices are amazing. Those prices are amazing. And even the condos are still good pricing. That's why I say, condos are entry level, or that's where we would want to focus as real estate professionals in first time home buyers, There's also a lot of condos now being approved for less down payment, which is providing a lot more accessibility. So that's a good chart to follow. Actually, we'll see how it plays out next month.
Yeah, yeah, super interesting. And I love your point there about, yeah, there's more condo inventory coming in. And also, one of the points that we were talking about the other day is how, yes, this is year over year, but Ruben, it's important to have like a long term, like because realtors, you're supposed to be the experts and take the long view, right? And not
Absolutely.
just look at each month and each quarter. You have to look over years, right?
Yeah, I mean it's important to understand again the historical data that we have, because we're still such a new city compared to like older ones. You know, we're like 100 years old or a little bit less or a little bit more. But for us in our market, especially with all the attention that we're getting, it's important that we understand historically what those figures were. Also, there understanding that there's a lot of migration, especially to our market. There's going to be more stuff coming in as well. So, understanding what has been, what is going on, and what the vision is for the near future is important in our practice, I would say.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so that's median sale prices. Okay, here's a look at historical, what I just mentioned. But this goes back all the way to 1996, and you can see, how it goes up and down. But the big thing when you look at this is that in the end, Miami real estate is going to go up. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's going to have its ups and downs, but at the end, the trajectory is up.
Yeah, and it follows everything else that we're saying, everything, all the data that we're seeing, and even not just real estate, but just for example, people moving here. There's demand for that. There's created demand for that. So all these trends. That's why we're very optimistic that this year we're gonna continue to see the numbers up. We might see them, in my opinion, maybe level a little bit, just because again, there's more inventory coming into the market, especially in the condo side, but I still foresee that prices will go up. And we're still getting a lot of people, even though it's not the pandemic anymore, but a lot of people from the domestic market, again, the New Yorks, the Californias, the Washingtons, that want to move here. They have a greater buying power. So, they can afford these prices very easily. And as well, if you're a new professional that is wanting to come into the first time home buyers market, look at the condo prices. We're still under $500,000. So in my opinion, it's very accessible.
Yes. All right. So median sale prices. And by the way, we have it from Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. And
Beautiful.
so, yeah, I saw a lot of people put in your email. Thank you. I'm going to send you, and you'll have time to look over at your leisure to this PowerPoint when I send it later this afternoon. Here's a look at listings. It's still below historical average, but Ruben just made a great point about the condo market seeing more inventory. So we're gonna get those numbers in 2026, see how those. Wanted to ask you about this one. This is an interesting chart here. This is from Knight Frank. They do the wealth report. Actually, they should be releasing the 26 report around this time. I'm keeping my eye on the 26 when that comes out. But this is another reason why people are coming here. More bang for your buck or more bang for your billions, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, compared to maybe I would say all of these cities, or yeah, compared to all these cities, what we're building here in South Florida is spectacular. I mean, we have amazing amenities. I work for a developer that offers 2 acres of amenities. I mean, 3 pools, 3 jacuzzis. None of these cities will probably have anything like this compared, and that is new. Our general construction, especially when we're talking about high end or over $1,000 a square foot, tends to be over $1,000. I'm sorry, tends to be over 1,000 square feet of newer construction. So just imagine the sizes, the views, the weather. We're again, I continue to say this, we are very well poised to continue this upward trend, and none of these other cities, in my opinion, can compare. Even New York. New York, everybody loves New York, but you saw it was snowing, what, like yesterday or 2 days ago, after 80-degree weather. Everybody was super excited, and then they got snowed in. So, and you could get to New York in 3 hours also from here. So very easily.
Yeah, I love it. I can't imagine, waking up and then having to shovel snow just to get out your car out of the driveway.
No, 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 no. I have a buddy right now who's in Chicago, and he posted something on Instagram, and because it's snowing, and I'm like, just come back, dude. Like you want to be here.
That's great. And then did you say you have 2 acres of amenities?
Yeah, yeah. The
Wow.
developer. I work for a new construction project in Edgewater, and we have 2 acres of amenities. We have 3 pools, 3 jacuzzis. We're gonna have our own restaurant. We have a paddleball court, a pickleball court, a tennis court, a basketball court, a steam room, and a sauna, an entertainment room, barbecue grill. Just, I mean, just tell me which of these cities will have a new construction that will also offer, over 1,000 square feet of livable space in new construction. Like, they don't. These are older cities. They're already established cities, which is why we in South Florida and Miami, I continue to say, are very well poised.
Yeah. That's a great soundbite right there. I love that
Yeah,
soundbite.
and listen, they're beautiful cities. We could always go there, but if you have a buyer, you're working with somebody that is really wants more bang for their buck, like we say. This is where they need to invest in.
This is where it needs to. Yep. Excellent. Okay. All right. And so here's a look at international demand. This is from realtor.com. They actually just updated this.
This is
But
beautiful, by the way. Thank you for sending this over to us because I used it and I'm actually presenting it this week at the celebration in Dallas. It's a great, great slide and it's a great article. So tell us more about it because
oh
it's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. No, no, you're doing a great. Yeah, awesome. I was just gonna point out that look how big that red dot
Yeah.
is at South Florida.
And they're mostly in Florida. If you see those, I mean, I don't know how many of these cities are there, but the whole state of Florida is almost marked. The other one would be Texas, but not as much as Florida. And look at that big old dot compared to like the New York dot or the California LA dot. Like, we're three times as big. It's crazy.
Yeah, amazing. All right. Okay, so let's move on to, another question that we always get. Okay, so prices are continue to increase year over year. Is this going to be a 2008, right? But it's a whole different ballgame now, right? How would you
I
explain it?
would say so. So, I worked in the 2008 market here. I had just moved here and I saw how, the borrowing process was back then. We're not there anymore. And also, even if we were concerned about a financial bubble because of mortgage or credit, in our market, at least from what I have been able to obtain, especially the information that Miami Realtors provides to us, is that we're still a very heavy cash driven market. So there's great opportunity for anybody to come in and buy with loans. Yes, the loans are a little bit stricter, obviously, so that we don't have a 2008 repeat, if you will. But there's, like mentioned here, there's no exotic loans. It's a very straightforward process. Homeowner associations have positive cash flow and high equity. A lot of these condos also have, they're funding their reserves. So things are moving great. That's why I don't believe that we'll be challenged with financing. Millennials right now are the largest demographic in each shelter. Obviously, graduating, doing a master's program, and when you're out in the workforce, you want to be able to participate and give back and buy your own, little piece of land or your little condo. And because we have inventory for them, especially entry level for first time home buyers, we're very well poised. I keep on saying that. 60% of homeowners have mortgage rates below 4%. I mean, can you imagine? You don't want to get rid of that mortgage. You would probably qualify for another one, while you do something with that property and rent it out if you outgrow it. But I don't see us having any bubbles, if you will. We're in the optimistic side of things, and a lot of our buyers continue to be cash buyers. And it used to be that these cash buyers were only foreigners. Now we're seeing a lot of cash buyers that are domestic. They're U.S. citizens, they're Americans, they're moving from these high taxed states into our market, and they're buying cash.
Yeah, and I love it. West Palm Beach is ranked number one in the US in all cash. And another great stat that we have is for Miami condos a million and up, 82% are all cash.
Yeah.
82.
Well, even pre-construction, when we're selling pre-construction, those contracts are cash contracts. And most of the
Yeah.
stuff is over $1,000 a square foot, which is over $1 million. So definitely in that range, $1 million and up, and even I would dare to say maybe 10 million and up. Those are all cash transactions most of the time.
Hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. So all pre-construction contracts, they're all cash?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right.
And it's a very small percentage in my experience that actually they want to get financing. Usually that type of buyer, they don't have issues, but it has happened in the past, especially with new construction, when there might be an issue in a country where the buyer is coming from and he or she for some reason cannot finish the deal or bring in the balance to close, then they get financing.
Okay.
Okay. But
Good.
yeah, all pre-construction contracts are cash, man. And again, we don't necessarily have data for it. I know we're just starting to collect it. We got the buyer demographic, which is great, but it'd be interesting to see if in the future we can somehow track that also.
Yes, we would love to do that. All right, closed sales. Let's see the latest stats. We mentioned at the top, total sales up almost 10%, single
Wow.
family, and take a look at condos jumping 15% year over year, Miami-Dade. Here's Broward, similar trend lines. It's interesting how the three counties follow similar trend lines. And then, so that's on closed sales. And also, I don't have it here, but in pending sales, which is indicator of future activity, they're up too. So we might be here next month doing the same thing.
And what's so
Wanted to move
interesting,
up.
Chris, is that even though again the buyer's aware that we have a 6 to 7% interest rate, sales have not necessarily declined. They might have slowed down a little bit, right? But buyers are still buying. People still want to get that property. Why? Because they know that if they wait 6 months or a year, they might have to pay an additional 15, 20, $30,000. You get it? So, like,
Yeah.
I think Gay is the one that said it, like small pain, long gains, or something like it was around there. Do you remember, Gay,
Yeah.
what you had said?
Yeah.
I remember. Like I said, what was it?
Short-term pain for the long term.
Short-term pains, long-term
Yes,
gains.
There you
yes. Thank you for
go.
that. And that's interesting for us to pay attention to, especially in the condo market, because more and more condos now that they've gone through the pain, they're becoming a lot more in demand, right? So condo associations are financially healthy. They have reserves. They are even getting approved for 5% down, which is something that, when I started doing real estate here in South Florida, it was absurd to even think that, a building could get approved for 5% down, and especially not even FHA, right? Because they have a higher investor concentration limits. But now what we're seeing is that these markets, especially our markets, are not necessarily bringing in people that are transient. People that are moving here are staying here. They're building families here. So they want to take advantage of these. And usually they start, and their starter home is usually a condo, whether it's a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. Now we're building bigger properties, which is great. We have 4 or 5 bedrooms, which are amazing because, again, bigger families are not just coming by and moving out. Now they're staying here. They're investing in their communities. They're investing in their neighborhoods. And that's why I think, we still have a lot of absorption to take, is what I'm getting at. But condos are
Yeah.
great.
Interesting. So there, yeah. So condos are being approved at 5% down. That rate, those regulations, and yeah, like you said, they're going to make buildings more financeable. So that's great news.
It is.
Okay, so let's get some tips to help the realtors on the call. By the way, thank you everybody. I see 38 people on the call. That's awesome. Ruben, let's talk about leveraging market watch on Matrix. This shows you what's happening in the last 7 days.
I
Do
mean, look
you
at
use?
those numbers. Those are beautiful. 353 new properties in the market,
Yeah.
112. Like, that's
The,
crazy.
the only thing is that might be old data that I took, but in general, like, do you use this market watch to?
Yeah, I do actually. It's part of my sales training when I meet with my team, because it's like as you said, it's a snapshot of what's going on. And this goes back what, a week or just a year? Do we know?
This one,
Uh-huh.
yeah, this I think is old data, so I wouldn't go by
Okay.
the numbers there.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting because if you for the people watching, you could actually switch from single family to maybe multifamily if you focus in the commercial field, etc. And you could actually figure out how far back you want to see. So the data is interesting because whether you may think that the market is going down or whatever you might think, with the snapshot, you could get a real good idea of what is happening, at least for a certain amount of period. In this case, it would be like the last 7 days. But look at those numbers. I mean, whether it was from yesterday or from a year ago, those are beautiful numbers.
Yeah. So that's great. Okay. All right. So here's some other free tools for Miami members. Let's go over each of them. We have IMAP. We have SunStats. We have our zip code reports. Like I mentioned, we have every single zip code in every city, and Gay is doing a great job of getting us every single month now. And we have it on our website. We have RPR. But Ruben, IMAP, I know Matrix is the number one tool. You can't top Matrix. But is IMAP number two, or what do you rank that?
I would say so. I mean, I use IMAP and RPR interchangeably to compare data on a specific property based on the research that I'm doing. But I like IMAP because it does provide you also, like in that little screen, a snapshot of what's going on in that community. If you have multiple properties, if you don't, something that's good, it's pre-foreclosure, or it's going to foreclosure. But you also have can do market analysis here and comps, so it could give you a range based on the comps that it picks up if you're working on a CMA, and obviously all the tax information as well. So IMAP is I would say it's up there right there with our RPR, and obviously my the MLSR.
Awesome. I love it. And thank you I was checking the chat. Carolina says new properties 399 as of today. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
and I would imagine those are probably condos, because again, that's what we're getting a lot. I live and work in downtown, so I farm Brickell downtown in Edgewater, and just in this mile and a half radius, if you will, we're gonna get around 8,000 units coming up between now and 2030. So pay attention to that, guys.
Wow. Awesome. You heard it first. All right, leveraging our RPR, Ruben just talked about RPR and then type of data that you could get there for free as a Miami member. And by the way, this is also free, SunStats. A lot of the charts I have in this PowerPoint are from SunStats, very easy to use. And they have new price tiers, Ruben, which I'm sure you will love. Now you could get, what's happening between 2 million and 3 million and all the way up to 10 million and more, which I know Gay and myself, we love getting this new data, but
Wow.
um, you know,
And
uh,
it's niche like this. Don't usually use Sunstats, but it's niche like this. You could actually pull up like the town of Miami Lakes, the town of, yeah. I thought it
every
was more of
single
a state thing.
no, every single city in Florida, every single zip code, and the data goes back years. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Excellent.
And you could put together these infographic charts. You add your picture and your logo and share it on social. You
Beautiful.
look like the expert that you are. All right, so let's talk about dollar volume. What's the latest stats in dollar volume? 1.6 billion in Miami-Dade, 1 billion in Broward, 2 billion in Palm Beach. Ruben, like you said, these don't even include new construction, but incredible power that the industry that we're in, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Palm Beach, 20% increase that. I mean, and we understand why, right? That's where Ross and Griffin are probably living at, and calling in these additional billionaires and people to move there. But these are beautiful numbers. I would dare compare to maybe other markets that are competing with us, but those numbers will probably and most likely not be anywhere near our numbers, and they'll probably be at a negative because they're all moving here.
Yes. All right. So that's dollar volume, months of supply. This is another important metric that we should all know about. We want 6 to 9 months as a balanced market, so that's good for buyers and sellers. Less than 6 months, that's a seller's market. More than 9 months is a buyer's market. And this is how you could calculate it. But I'm gonna email you this PowerPoint so you have time to take a look at that. But when we look at Miami-Dade months of supply, overall 9.9 months, all properties. Single families in a balanced market, 6.2, buyer's market, 13.4. Here's a look at Broward, 5 months for single family, 11.5 in Palm
Interesting.
Beach.
Yeah, and I can see that. Condos will most likely be buyer's market for a while because there's more and more properties coming into the market, like I said. There's also, a lot of sellers that are ready to diversify. There's sellers that cannot afford any special assessments or the increase in HOA fees that are coming in. That's also required by the state. So these are great opportunities for your buyers to take advantage of.
Yes, definitely. Months of supply. Here's months of supply by price point. Thanks to SunStats, we have break it down all the way to 10 million and more. Um, but very interesting data. And also, um, Ruben, realtors, they become successful not by looking at the county numbers, right? It's more about you got to know your block, you got to know your city, your zip code, right? That's how you become successful. So you could do all this for your city and zip code, right?
Yeah, and you become a source of influence and the source of information. It's back to the question, the first question you asked me, like, why is it important for us to know our information and our market? And it's because of this, so that we can tell the correct story. We cannot compare, downtown Miami to, I don't know, let's say South Beach. It's very different. Even though we may have newer construction, really the construction is focused more in the urban core than in Miami Beach, just to give you an example. So this data will help you analyze and also be educated. That way, when you're speaking to the general public, your clients or customers, you have data to back it up. And this is really where we shine. And it's all thanks to Miami Realtors that provides this data for us.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Okay, let's talk about hottest markets. This is based on months of supply. So the lowest months of supply. Kendall checking in number one for single family, hottest market. On the condo side, Florida City, number one. Ruben, any of these cities that you want to talk about or caught
Well,
your eye?
Coral Gables is good. I think Coral Gables, is one of those markets that has always been stable. We have bigger homes, so we also have condos, but I like that it's on both sides of the column simply because it offers both products to anybody that wants to relocate there. Hialeah is also in high demand. I can see that. I don't know much about Florida City. I think it's, I would see why it would be number one in the condos, probably because of affordability. And, it's something that we've seen year over year where people are looking for a bigger bang for their buck. So they move further out of the main urban core to be able to afford more. And I think that's great. And with Kendall, I mean, Kendall has always been a hot market, but at 3.6 months supply, it's a super hard market right now.
Yeah, wow. Only 3.6 months. Here's a look at Broward, Cooper City checking in number one, a single family, Weston number one on the condo side. And again, you're going to have this in the PowerPoint, but it's also going to be on sfmarketintel.com, all these graphics. Here are the hottest markets in Palm Beach County, Jupiter number one, even lower than Kendall, 3.4 months, and then
Wow.
Palm Beach Gardens.
Question
Uh,
for you. Are these stats on Photify and Canva already? Like so that we could tailor them and put them under our own branding?
this specific one,
Hmm. Well, I don't
this
know. I mean, just in general, so that we can plug in a little bit of what we have available for realtors.
Yeah, that's a great idea. This one, as of right now, no, it's not on
Okay.
Photify or Canva, but yeah, we could definitely get it there.
And this is
Yeah,
great, guys, because you if you log into the apps, you'll be able to see maybe not this specific slide, but slide with information that you could actually brand to your own branding. You put your picture, you put your name of your company, your name and your contact information, and boom, you can post directly from the app to any of your socials, which is great.
yeah, I love
Like
it.
in less than a minute, you can do this in less than a minute.
For sure. And actually, I have a slide coming up on Photify, but yes,
Ah,
thank
beautiful.
you.
Hmm.
And that's another free, by the way, it's free for Miami members, and we've done a lot of work on it, so you just have to push a couple buttons to share. All right, active inventory. Ruben, this is I used to be a reporter, and this is
Hmm.
a little bit of breaking news here because we've been watching inventory going up and up for I want to say years. This is the first time. Take a look at Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade is down active listings, and so I went back and I looked it up. Can you take a guess, Ruben? I want to ask you, when was the last time Miami total inventory was down year over year?
I'm gonna say before 2008.
Well, the last time total Miami inventory was down year over year was September 2023.
Oh, 2023 recent.
Yeah, so that was the
No, well,
last
of
time.
course. I mean, everything got eaten up. we
Yeah,
didn't have more.
exactly.
We didn't have more properties to put on the market.
Yeah, yeah.
But this
But
is good. I mean, even though it is down, I think it's great. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I could see why people would be a little more hesitant to maybe go back into the market right away. They want to see what's going on. Obviously, interest rates, they're fluctuating, and just the geopolitical issues that are going on. I could see how people may, these numbers may vary a little bit in the coming months. But again, it's not that it's -5 or -10. It's -0.39. So it's hardly anything.
yeah, and when inventory goes down, that's going to put upward pressure on prices, right? It's supply and
Absolutely.
demand. Yeah,
There's supply and demand, like you said.
yeah, definitely. Okay, so that is inventory. So let's recap what we talked about so far. Sales up 6 straight months. Inventory down for the first time since September 23. We talked about the mortgage rates. and how they could be rising again. And by the way, I know Gay is on the call. Make sure to check out her economic insights. She did a great blog update on mortgage rates and how everything geopolitically, the impact. So make sure to read that. It's a great blog there. And then we talked about pending sales, price appreciation. All right, global trivia answers.
Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's see.
Let's go. Who do you think got the the foreign country purchasing the most Miami real estate is
Well, I know the answer. Yes, Colombia, of course.
Colombia?
And
Yes,
this goes like this is very much aligned with the countries that are searching for property in our website, correct?
100%. Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
so we
They
can
have
see
always
that.
been the top country. Yes.
It would be interesting also for the people on the call to pay attention to what's going on in Venezuela. Venezuela, for probably the last 15 years, except since the law came into place, they were one of our top markets. And now with the whole regime change and government change that's going on there, I believe, and I'm almost certain that they're going to be one of our top, if not the next top market to buy real estate here once they're able to.
Ah, very interesting.
Hmm.
Venezuela. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
Venezuela.
and thank you to everybody on the chat. You guys know your global trivia. Rober, we have multiple Colombias there.
Yeah.
Robert was the first one, Robert. Um, and then also there was a guess on Argentina, which is very good guess. But yes, everybody is guessing Colombia, so great job, guys. All right, so the next question is, what
Oh,
is
but
the
hold on. I could see why they're saying Argentina. The president of Argentina, Milei, is it's having a great relationship with our current administration. So, and I know that there's some kind of currency issue going on there. So, I think that maybe Argentina, before Venezuela comes back up, Argentina will probably be on the market, on the high numbers for purchasing and searching for our market as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then if this is our 2025 data, but 2024, Argentina was number one.
Ah,
And,
see.
and then of course we have a very good soccer player that is living here, correct? Currently,
Yes, of course.
the Messi
The soccer
effect.
part, the Messi effect.
Okay, so that is okay. How many countries purchased Miami new construction? This is from our new construction report. It's 73. And can you believe it? There's someone on the chat who says 70.
Wow.
Yes,
Who said that? Who
Ashley.
said that? Let's see. Ashley. Oh, of course. Well, it's
Me.
Ashley's one of our leaders.
I have to know.
You
Yeah,
have
she
to
would
know.
know. Of course, she would know.
Great
Good
job.
job, Ash.
Yeah,
But yeah,
great.
so this is very interesting, and again, these are just the countries that we are able to become aware of, right? Because I'm sure that there's a bunch of others that are not on this map, and just because the data has not been given to us to collect and to compile, we don't know. But this is still amazing. 73 countries. I mean, one can think, especially doing real estate here for over 20 years, that is just Latin America. But no, look at this. It's a beautiful colored map.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do the new construction report is that there were multiple media stories saying that Latin America is not purchasing in Miami anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's why we want to do this report and get the correct data out.
Well, no, and correct them because it's not just Latin America. I mean, we could see is Europe. It's Asia. It's part of Africa. So it's not just Latin America. Good for us.
Okay. And so I put in the link for a new construction report and other reports in the chat. I see that Carolina says that the file is damaged.
Oh,
I'm gonna make a note of that. I'm gonna check that out. But thank you. But yes, it should be there. /market. What percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? This is our CEO's favorite chart in the entire study. 45%. Really amazing, Ruben, the difference between number one and number two, that you think Orlando will be a little bit higher, but it shows you just how incredibly global we are.
yeah. And listen, for us to dominate, we're not just selling, we're dominating the international investment market in the state of Florida. I mean, that those numbers have to continue to increase. And all the other parts of the state of Florida are also blossoming. This is just an effect that we have because if they don't buy here in South Florida, they'll eventually buy somewhere else in the state. There's other opportunities, obviously, but still, when we think, oh, Miami's too expensive, Miami, we're not going to get buyers, we're not going to get investors. Look at these numbers: 45% of the international market buys here in South Florida. So it's good information for us.
Amazing. And thank you to Gay. She put in the link for the new construction report, so it's in the
Thank you, Gay.
chat. Yeah, check that out. New construction report. All right, tools and resources. Let's try to sum it up. Everything that the Miami Association of Realtors we provide. We have SunStats, which you guys know, has every single zip code and city in Florida, and it's free.
By
We
the
have
way, this is in our dashboard, everybody. As soon as you log into the MLS, it's literally a click away. All you have to do is just find it and click on it. And if you don't know where exactly it is, call us or let us know so that we can guide you, because all of this data is readily available. It's compiled. It's very easy for you to use, and it's very easy for you to adapt into your marketing.
Yeah, and I love how now in the MLS and Matrix you could favorite
Yeah, you can. The little tiles.
icons. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the tiles. Yeah, to make it even easier. Okay, so co-branded materials. We have top 20 reasons to buy in Miami, in Broward, and Palm Beach. This is all free. Where what Ruben was talking about. You could add your name, your company logo in the top right corner, wherever you'd like. This is free material for you guys. Ruben did a phenomenal job here on Photify. This is Photify. It's only available on your phone, and these are the templates we have loaded. Miami Association of Realtors, we've loaded more than 1,000 templates. So pick the one that you like, add your picture, your company logo, your information, and like Ruben said, you could share it in I would say 30 seconds.
I would say 30 seconds too. I just want to let everybody know it's literally that simple. And more than likely, you only have to upload your information once, because everything gets stored into the app. And all you have to do is just change the tile that you want. If you want to talk about international real estate, well, there it is. If you want to talk about commercial, there it is. If you want to provide a stat, everything is branded with Miami Realtors. So obviously they know that you're a realtor of our amazing association, and you can brand it with yourself.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's just some registration, if you go to /Fortify, you just have to register with your NRDS number, and then you go onto your phone and that's where you
Yeah, you
access
have
it.
to like link in the association that you're in. So you get Miami and you also get Florida, because Florida Realtors also provides a few of the slides, but it's mostly the Miami ones that you want to be using.
Definitely, yes. All right, Fortify. We have comprehensive market reports that you will be seeing this afternoon. And you know the website because you bookmarked it already, sfmarketintel.com. We have all these market focused infographic videos. We're launching them on social media, Instagram, all over the place in the next couple of days. But we have infographics, we have market focused videos, and
I love those market reports, by the way, because they're on a month to month, and they do provide the same information that we're discussing, which is month over month and year over year. Very easy for us to share. Chris does an amazing job voice how do you say, over voicing, voice,
voiceover,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever, you get me, voicing the comments. And it's I know that when we launch it, because my feed is all of a sudden market focus, but everybody's resharing. So these are great stats for us to first be informed just of what's going on between one month to the other, and it's very easy for you to share.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ruben. And it's crazy. That is our most viral video, I would say, on a monthly basis, is that it always takes off. And I think you try to say, why do certain videos take off on social media? And I think number one is we have the B-roll of beautiful Miami
No, for
beaches.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, it's quick. It's only a minute long. And so, but yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we're going
Great
to
work with these are great, by the way. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, zip code and city reports. This used to be on a quarterly basis, but we have a phenomenal chief economist, and so she's getting to us every month. There was a request from on our board, a residential board, and she basically did it overnight, and she's getting it to us every single month. And with our design team, we will have it on the website, sfmarketintel.com. You'll be able to find that on the news page every single month, every single zip code in South Florida, every single zip code, every city. Um, we have that on our website. We have RPR, which Ruben talked about, free, another free one. And then, so let's say you have a question on Fortify, you have a question on Sunstats, you have a question on RPR, these are the people to ask. They put on classes. And so the best way I would say to email them if you had a question, trainers@mymarygeek.com. Okay, so we're getting to the end. Oh, look at that. It's 2:59. Amazing. Um, it's amazing how it works every time. So Ruben, here's Miami-Dade cross-market demand. So this is what markets are looking at Miami listings. The name of the program is leveraging market stats. So as a realtor, how would you leverage this to make more business?
Well, it's very easy in my opinion. I think that I pay attention to this, and these are our feeder markets. So if I'm doing any type of digital marketing campaigns or mail away campaigns, these are the markets or the areas where I would want to start, right? Getting my name out there, maybe attending events if you're in the area, or just doing digital marketing campaigns to see what kind of people you can attract and filter, and then obviously convert. That's why the data that Miami Realtors provides is strategic, especially a lot of us think, oh, let's just focus on our niche market, which is great. You can focus on your niche market, but still communicate with those feeder markets because those feeder markets might want to invest and buy in your niche area. So pay attention to these stats because these stats will tell us if there's an issue going on in the cities or these states or the counties and they're on our map, guess what? They're more than likely there's going to be investment coming in and flowing in. Another thing I would like to point is that every time that there's a new connecting flight from a specific airport, let's say to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, usually investment comes and investment follows. So pay attention to that as well.
Yeah, super interesting. And the one thing on this, I've been following this graphic for a long time, and obviously New York and California are there, but this is the first time I can remember Santa Clara County, California. So
Mm,
um, it being on the top 10 list, so that's interesting. So even more California.
uh,
All right, so here is Ruben's information. He is our presidential president-elect. There's his email. Follow him on Instagram. Ruben, one question is a bonus question. I didn't write it to you ahead of time, but as you were talking, I wanted to ask you. I know that you're a very successful, luxury broker. So, for any realtors on the call, is there any like quick tips that you would give them that they want to break into the luxury market? What tips would you give them?
Well, so definitely attend the luxury classes that we offer through the association. We have a great, robust education program for our members. And honestly, I don't do trainings as a broker in my office. I send all my agents to go get trained at the association. So definitely start there. And another thing that we do in my office is that we go and visit pre-construction projects, right? Because those pre-construction projects are the ones that are going to be changing the neighborhood, and you could also understand what kind of demand and what kind of product is being delivered, and those tend to be luxury products, right? Over $1,000 a square foot and more, by the way, but that's just starting. So if you want to understand what's going on in that side of the industry, the luxury side, that's where I would recommend that we start. Definitely the association, understanding the resources. There's a few instructors that provide certifications, and visiting the market that we already have. Make relationships with in-house sales agents for newer construction. Pay attention to new constructions in high-end markets like Coral Gables or South Beach, where they're building these spec homes. Go in there and go knock on their door and understand, so that you could get a little familiar with what these builders are doing, so that then you, as a real estate professional and as a realtor, can definitely relay that information to your clients and buyers, and you can guide them better based on their interest. If they're looking for 2 acres of amenities, well, you're going to take them to a specific product. If they're looking for an AC filter system that provides, great, amazing air, so we have that product. Just in case if you didn't know, it does exist, and it is a luxury product. So that's what I would recommend. That's what I tell my agents to do, and it's worked out great because everybody gets familiar with, first and foremost, what the future of Miami is going to be in the next 3 to 4 years, and then you can bring that information into your market and apply.
Wow, awesome. Well, Ruben, you knocked it out of the park. I think this was a super fun webinar.
I'm glad.
Thank you so much. Is there any other takeaway you want to, leave people with, or?
Well, so I know that we have a few events coming up for the membership. Please pay attention to the Miami Realtors calendar of events. If you are in the international market, Please pay attention to our global events. We team up with Florida Realtors to go on these trade missions all throughout the world. And those are great, great initiatives that we have. And we, as Miami Realtors, always have a booth with them. And then if you're interested in volunteering, you can become an ambassador for the different boards that we have. And if you're interested in leadership, then let us know so that, you know, we can see how we can work your way into leadership within the 5 boards that we have. Getting involved is definitely going to propel your business and the industry forward. So we look forward to having you, and thank you guys for being Miami Realtors.
That's awesome. We love it. And thank you, everybody. Thank you. Some great comments on the chat. Great meeting. Great job, Ruben and Chris. A great a gift there of clapping. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. And we will see you again next month.
Bye, Gabe.
Okay.
Good seeing you. Thank you, Chris. Have me back anytime, dude. See you soon.
Thank you,
Great job,
Ruben. Excellent.
Ruben.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.